Hi, I'm Emily with Stitch House at Sew Dallas, and I'm going to show you today how to make a face mask. We are in pretty great need of these face masks right now, and with all of the support that we have in our sewing community, I think it'd be really great if I sent out a tutorial for all of you to make your own. We're using the straps instead of the elastic, just because we always know we have plenty of fabric. Alright, and I will show you what you need to make the face mask that I'm going to show you today. So your PDF pattern will show you need 2 straps. So I need 1¼ inch cut for my width of fabric. I need 2 of my templates that I'm going to show you later how to fold, cut from the fold of the fabric, and a pipe cleaner. So this is the template that we included in the PDF pattern. It's half of the mask because you're going to actually cut your pattern along the fold of your fabric. This is what you're going to get as the final, but I'm going to show you how to cut that. We're going to pretend that this is your fabric and that it's still cut right off the bolt, and this is the fold. So I can line up my pattern anywhere along the edge of the fold right here. This is where you're going to line it up, and I can take any kind of marking tool of my choice, and you're just going to follow the line right along here. We have the dotted line for the seam allowance, so you are going to draw right along the black line and then cut that out. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to take your 1¼ inch strip that we cut for the straps, and I'm going to show you how to fold that and press it so that we can sew it on the machine with the zigzag. So I'm going to have my wrong side up, and I want to fold both sides to the center of the fabric. So if I fold this side just like that and fold that side like that, both of the ends meet together. So I'm going to take that and press that on my iron, and then once that's pressed, I can fold those ends together. That's going to give us a nice enclosed seam, so I'm not going to have any raw edges whenever I sew those together. This is kind of what it's going to look like. So I've already pressed this one here, and you can see that I've got my folds going in, and I've got that pressed. So I have a nice thin strap for my mask. Okay, so once I have both of my straps double folded, I can sew a zigzag on those. I'm going to come to my machine, and if I have wide feed dogs, I probably have to adjust my needle position and make sure I am actually getting my strap fed through the feed dog since it's so narrow. And that's okay, you should be able to do that on most machines. So I have, right now I have a zigzag stitch with about 5mm stitch width, and I think that's going to be great. I'm going to feed it all the way through so that my feed dogs are feeding my strap, and that zigzag's going to hold all that double fold together. Alright, so now after we've sewn both of those, we've got 2 really nice straps, the width of the fabric, and we can cut those in half to make the straps for the mask. And we've got 4. Alright, so the next thing we want to do is figure out where our pipe cleaner needs to go for the nose brace. So I've got both of my pieces here for my templates. I've got a right side of fabric and a wrong side. We want to put the pipe cleaner on the inside of the mask, so we're going to sew it to actually the wrong side of the fabric. And I want to make sure that I keep my seam allowance in mind. So my pipe cleaner is going to be sewn right about 3/8 of an inch down from my template, right in the center. So right about there is where I'm going to bring it over to my machine, and I'm going to sew that in there with a zigzag stitch. Okay, so I still have my pipe cleaner lined up right about 3/8 inch down from my mask. If you'd like to pin it, that might be a little bit tricky, so I'm just going to hold it in place. So again, I've got my zigzag set up, so I'm going to sew right down the middle, right over this pipe cleaner. Okay, so now whenever I have stitched that on, that's how my pipe cleaner is attached to the inside of my lining on my mask. So when I go to my straps, I actually want to make sure I turn this part over. I want to sew to the outside of my mask because we're going to be putting right sides together after we put the straps on, kind of like this, custom for sewing, and we're going to turn this inside out. But for now, I've got my fabric right side up, and I'm going to take 2 of my straps, and I want to put them here and here, just like your template shows a strap at the top and the bottom. So I can pin those in place, and I want those going inside, towards the inside of my mask, not going out, because we're going to be doing this and putting it inside out. Alright, and I can take those to my sewing machine. So now that I have all of my straps attached to my face mask, I can go ahead and sew the whole thing together. What I want to be really aware of is that all of my straps are going into the center here, and I'm going to leave an opening where I want to sew through here so I can turn it inside out. So I want to make sure I'm not sewing any of my straps into my seam allowance, and I want to leave my pocket open right down here. So I can take my pins and I can sew those mask pieces together all the way around, making sure I have that opening right down here. I've got my pins along my mask, and again I want to leave an opening so I can turn it inside out. So I'm going to switch my machine to a straight stitch, and I'm going to start sewing right about here. I can do a reverse if I want to. I'm going to. And then I just want to follow that 1/4 inch and take my pins out all the way along my seam. Okay, so I've got my seam almost completely sewn all the way around except for my opening, and that's where all my straps are coming out. So I've got a cute little octopus right here right now, but we're going to turn this inside out. Okay, so I can really easily take the whole thing through this whole opening. So if you've ever made a pillow or any kind of thing that you need to sew right sides together, it's really simple. And I can take those ties and pull my corners out, right like that. And we've got something that is starting to look an awful lot like a mask. Again, I've still got my opening right here, so I'm going to show you how to close that up as well. Okay, so I've got my pins in place. I'm going to sew pretty close to my edge. I'm just going to close up my opening, and then I'm going to sew all the way around my mask. This just gets it to lay a little bit flatter. Okay, so that gives me a really nice area that covers the face, but I need to give it a little bit of shape. So I'm going to add a few tucks here, here, and here, just like the pattern says, and that way it will fit the face a little bit better. So you don't have to pin. I usually don't, but I'm going to show you how I would. I'm just going to grab the fabric and gather just like that. I'm just pinching it and gathering it. And I can pin that right in place, right like that. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm just going to kind of pinch and gather another place for a tuck. The third place that I'm going to do that is going to be right here. So you can see that that's going to give a little bit better shape to the mask, and I can sew those areas down, and I can do it on the other side too. And there we have it. We've got the tucks in place, and I've done a little bit of molding with the pipe cleaner. I'm not going to put it up to my face because this is going to be donated, but you can see how easy it is to mold that pipe cleaner to get a really close connection to the face. Awesome. Thanks for following along with us while we made this.